Oh yeah, okay. Councillors may be aware that there is a larger project, the East Coast Trail, which proposes to link the cycle lanes on the Alfie-Byrne Road with the cycling facilities that are in Dunleary Down around Bruterstown area. And that's a much larger project. It's been broken down into various stages. But in the interim, what we're looking at doing is just providing some sort of link that would connect Alfie-Byrne Road with the North Quays. We feel that that would provide an important link with Fairview down into the North Quays and then what it would allow cyclists to do as well is to avoid sort of large sections of the East Wall Road, which is kind of a hostile environment for cyclists. So this is the sort of the existing facility we have at the moment. On the left, it's just that that two-way cycle track continues out to towards Clontarf and links into Fairview. On the photograph on the right shows the existing facility just stopping short of the East Point, the turn into the East Point industrial estate there. What the cycle track does at this point is it crosses the road and continues along and links in with Fairview Park. Our proposal is this is the existing facility on the northern side of the road there, and what you see is this is the existing tube crossing, and this is the existing facility as well. Our proposal is to continue the cycle lane on the same side of the road and further down towards East Wall Road. The idea would be that we would continue along in this direction here, taking one of the two lanes of traffic that is heading towards East Wall Road and converting it into the two-way cycle track. This is just as the approach to the East Wall Road. So again, we have two lanes of traffic turning left. We would take one of those lanes of traffic to provide the two-way cycle track. As we get around the corner, what happens at the moment is that the two lanes that are turning left actually reduce down to one lane. Further down as just past the Church Road Junction. And what we're proposing to do is just again take one of those lanes and convert it into
Have we lost Alec?
I think so.
Alec, are you there? Must get that national broadband plan working.
We can maybe have the meeting on Christmas Day.
Now, Emer.
There's so many. Chair.
Yeah, we could adjourn them till Christmas Day, Chair.
Yeah, brilliant. What time would suit?
Yeah.
Who has their turkey? What time?
I get dizzy listening today with all the meetings.
Christy,
or their nut roast.
We'll not be able to do it at 3 o'clock. Christy will be watching the Queen, so he will. So,
so do you know the Queen's on at 3 o'clock, right? That's the question I'd be asking.
How did you know it was on at 3, right? Regular.
Good point, Christy. Good point.
Are you a yearly viewer?
Alec, you're back. Save me. I'll be watching a rerun of last year's Ulster final, so it's grand. Alec, you there?
Alec, you're on mute.
So, Kieran, is it you that wants to chair the meeting on Christmas Day?
Chair, while we're waiting for Alec to come back, could we possibly discuss
Apologies, councillors.
Alec's back.
Internet trouble
Yeah.
here.
We have Alec.
There's Alex now.
I'm trying to get back onto the shared screen now and see where we are now. You bear with me. Am I right in thinking that I just turned around the corner onto East Wall Road?
That's right.
Okay, let me go back a few pages now. Can I do that? God. Where am I? God, no.
Back before that.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back. Actually, I've lost the ability to go backwards into the. Oh, hang on now.
Bottom of the screen in the middle, you should have backwards arrows.
Hang on now. I'm going back now. Sorry.
Before that, I think.
No,
So you were
sorry.
on.
I
you were
was
number
here.
7. Yeah.
There, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor, sorry about this. So we get to East Wall Road, and there's one lane of traffic going turning left, and then there's the two-way cycle track. And the next, this is just showing the existing situation where we would take one of those lanes, and we would have one lane eastbound on East Wall Road. Then we get to the Church Road Junction. At this point, there's a facility for cyclists to join the two-way cycle track. We're maintaining the existing pedestrian crossing. You may see that the cycle lane encroaches slightly into the footpath here outside the Aldi store. And then we've also slightly further east, then we have we're proposing to build an island bus stop to cater for the new N4 bus route that is running along the East Road. Going on to the next, so this is just a photograph showing of the encroachment outside the Aldi store. There's a generous footpath behind it. We'll be able to maintain at least a 1.8 metre wide footpath behind the cycle track, and also then you have quite a large space outside the Aldi store itself. The island bus stop that I referred to would be constructed in this general area, and again we would encroach slightly into the footpath at this point here, to removing those bollards and moving back that public lighting pole. But once we get past this area, then once we get past this island bus stop, the two-way cycle facility would return onto the existing carriageway. As you can, this is the sort of location that we're proposed, and as you can see, there's this sufficient width on the East Wall Road to maintain the 2 lanes of traffic and also the two-way cycle track at this point. And that will bring us down as far as the junction with East Road. And again, we're providing linkage for cyclists joining from East Road and also exiting onto East Road, or if they want to continue along East Wall Road as well. We're also proposing a new Chukin crossing to the east of the junction, which will allow for obviously pedestrians crossing the road at this point, but it will also allow for any cyclists that are coming along East Wall Road that want to join the new facility. The next steps would be subject to the councillors' support. We would propose to put these scheme drawings up on our consultation hub. We would and request feedback from local residents and any interested parties. And then we would look to finalise our tender documents early in 2022. So that's the presentation. So I just close that now.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Alec.
Okay.
I see. We'll see whenever you stop sharing your screen.
Oh, sorry, I have to stop sharing my screen. Sorry.
Yeah, Brad.
Stop share. Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. So I have just there's a few hands there now. So I see Kat, Joe, Declan, and Janet are the first 4. Kat.
Thank you, Chair. Overall, I'm really enthused by this. It's great to see the connectivity happening within our bike network. Just a few detailed questions. The first is on the footpaths. So in the places where the footpath is not being encroached on so much, the footpaths are still in awful condition down there. Is this an opportunity to upgrade and make safer the footpaths along that route, particularly on the East Wall Road? Is there a plan for changing signal sequences or having bike lighting at the signalled corners? Just with the merging of traffic to make it as safe as possible for cyclists to be able to make their way around corners and merge lanes. And then finally, do we have a timeline for how interim this scheme is going to be? I'm not aware of a timeline for the overall plans for the area. If you could just indicate completion dates for the interim scheme and expected completion dates for the north side south side linkage, which is the bigger project. But very clear presentation. Thanks, Alec.
Thanks, Kat. Joe?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, Alec. I'm like Kat, I agree. I think that this makes a lot of sense. Instead of changing over at Altyburn Road, crossing the road, just to continue on. It's more functional and it's safer, etc. And also, I presume, as Kat was suggesting, that all the footpaths are going to be treated properly and they're going to be repaired wherever they're required to be. I have a concern about where you're going to end. You're ending down at East Road. Now, you're going to, immediately after that, between that and the school, you're going to have a Junction crossing. Now, the school is really the area where all the kids are going to be coming in the morning and the afternoon, and a lot of them will be cycling to it. So you don't seem to have included the school in the proposals. And I think St. Joseph's Co-ed School needs to be included in those proposals. There is no school zone there. It's a dangerous area because a lot of traffic coming out of the docks. And I wonder, can you put an extension, if you like, or an addition to the plans to include the school? Because you just stop short of the school, which really, I think is a shame, and I think it should be addressed. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Declan?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I support safe cycling infrastructure, and this isn't really safe. I heard an island bus stop. Can I just get a bit more detail on that? Because we know that they're unsafe. It's been proven in London. It's been proven people avoid using them. So I cannot vote for Part 8 that includes safer island bus stop. And I mean, again, the two-can crossing, two can't cross safely. And really what cyclists need to do is dismount and slowly take the bike across the road. There is no need for a wide cycle lane that's effectively an unsafe shared space with pedestrians. So I'm not happy with those elements. Thank you.
Thanks, Declan. Janet?
Yeah, thanks. I might just mention on the island bus stops as well. Like, I know a lot of work has been done in the department to look at how they can be made a lot more safe and secure, particularly for people with disabilities. As we know, it's not possible for people with disabilities to dismount from a bike very comfortably in order to walk across. So that the idea of asking people to dismount is not disability friendly and should not be supported, I don't think. But there has been a lot of work about looking at how we can kind of combine those aspects of ensuring that people slow down and make sure they're pedestrian priority and safe for everybody using the bus stop, while also facilitating people who, whether it's children or people with disabilities in cycle lanes, to remain safe at the same time, because the current design means that the most vulnerable on the roads are often compromised with how we manage those interactions. So yeah, I'm very keen that we do support it, we do improve that, we strengthen it. I think there's work to be done on island bus stops, but I think there is a lot of work underway, and we're getting somewhere with what the designs of those do. Just in terms of specifics, I'm delighted to see this project come through. I think that it's a really it can be a really key link, and it can facilitate a lot of the residents of East Wall who are currently very cut off and have very hostile roads around them if they want to walk, cycle, anything from into the surrounding areas. So I think this is a huge amenity for the people of East Wall primarily, and I would really support that. I'd love to see the project a little bit more extended. I'd love to see it going down as far as further towards the East Link, but I know there's a lot of other projects conflicting there, but maybe just, Alec, if you just give us a sense of what the other projects are, how this is going to link in with maybe other bits of infrastructure that are coming down the road, or what we can likely to see there. And then just, there's guardrails currently outside. I think it's either the Little or the Aldi, I can't remember which is on which side of the road. And we know, again, they can be quite hazardous. Not only are they obstructive to people walking, but they're also have resulted in people dying in very horrible circumstances where they've been crushed against those before. So they've done work removing the guardrail, if you know, then the junction where the woman was killed before on is a Seville Place and Sheriff Street there, and then replacing them with planters. That is, I think, an example of what we should be looking to as an alternative to guardrails. So if we can look to remove them and put something safer in place as part of this, I think that would be great. And my other question is, I presume the cycle lane that is now on the bit of Alfieburn Road where we're moving the cycle lane to the far side of the road, that bit of footpath that has been freed up, or that was previously a cycle lane on a footpath, that's just going to be footpath now. The whole thing will be footpath. I presume, just to clarify that. And I guess my final thing is just could you just the origin of this project? Like, there's a lot of projects pending for this central area, and it remains a mystery to me as to which projects get prioritized and why. So if you just have any sense of where this project originated from, and why this one is the one that we're likely to see going ahead. And yeah, you mentioned we're implementing Q1 2022, which I think maybe puts it ahead of, for example, the Queen Street cycle lane, which we discussed much earlier in the year. So how the projects are sort of working together, or the interaction and prioritization between the various projects. I don't know if you can speak to that, but I'd be very curious. Thanks.
Thanks, Janice. There's a lot there in the 3 contributions so far. So I'm going to let Alec respond to them, and then Niall, Christy, and anyone else who wants to come in at that stage. So Alec.
Firstly, Councillor O'Driscoll's question about the footpaths. I'll be frank, the footpaths haven't been considered as part of this project, but I don't see any reason why they can't be. So I'll certainly, I think what we can do is certainly where we're we're working in the area, we can look at doing that, you know. Obviously this project, like all our projects, are funded by the NTA, so I'll obviously need their approval for doing this. Footpath works normally, upgrades and maintenance are done by our road maintenance department, but if they fall within the project boundary, I could see we could maybe be able to do something on that, but I need to clarify that with the NTA. As far as changing the signals are concerned, yes, there will be some changes to the signals. We certainly will be putting in signal heads for cyclists, advanced signal heads and stuff like that at junctions, and we will also have to, particularly around Church Road, that junction there, we'll have to modify the signals there, and also onto East Road as well, the turn there. The timeline for the interim and the larger schemes, that's a bit harder to answer. As the timeline for the interim, it's actually there isn't a huge amount of civil works associated with the interim projects, so that can be rolled out, I would imagine, with the approval of the councillors and everything going well. I'd imagine we could be tendering in Q1, and we could be certainly constructing in Q2. The longer projects, the East Coast Trail, it's a complicated project. It's broken up into a whole series of different sections, including the East Wall Road, and then it impacts with proposals that Dublin Port has. It has crossed the bridge. It impacts. There's an interim proposal gone in there recently around Sean Moore Road, and then you've got the Strand Road, and then onward. So there are a whole lot of different projects there. So I can't actually give you any sort of idea of when that might happen, when the whole project will be delivered. I know that there is. We're looking at the moment in early 2022 to set up an active travel unit, which will have a different project team, and they will be looking to advance those larger projects as part of the East Coast Trail. So hopefully we'll start seeing some progress on those sections of those projects later next year. Councillor Costello, again, I know I note the request to have a look at the footpath. So again, I will let's see if I can include that in the project. And the concerns around the school. Certainly the Toucan crossing to the east of the scheme was put in very much with the schools in mind, to allowing them to link in with the facility. The larger sort of question about school zones and whether we can develop a school zone on East Wall Road. It's certainly, we have a different section on the that deals with school zones, but I would certainly make contact with them on this project and see if we can incorporate facilities that would tie in with what they're trying to achieve in the school zone area. And I think it would be good to link up with the school and make contact with them as part of developing the project in this area. So we'll do that. Councillor Declan, I'm sorry, I don't know your surname. Declan Meehan, yes, regarding the island bus stops, as Councillor Horner was saying, we're aware of their issues with the island bus stops, and certainly I know that there are proposals at the moment being developed for signalising sort of the sort of, I suppose, the crossing for pedestrians across the cycle lanes. It's something that it hasn't been formalized yet. It's not part of the traffic science manual. We can't actually implement it, but there are designs to allow for this. And I suppose what we're doing is, as part of our work, we'll be putting in the infrastructure that will allow the future signalization of that crossing point, subject to the designs being approved by the Department of Transport and those changes. So I know it's something it's been sort of pushed by the Bus Connects project to try and get this sort of upgraded design for island bus stops sort of through the department. So as I say, all we're doing is, in the short term, what we'll do is we'll put the infrastructure in to allow for us to implement that once it becomes officially a part of a formal design. I know Councillor Horner was looking about the extending of the project. I certainly, I suppose, following this project, we would look to sort of see what we can do to improve the cycling facilities on East Road itself. There are some probably minor interventions we can do to improve the facilities along that section. Again, though, we'll have a look at removing any guardrails on the scheme, on the route as part of this scheme. And you were asking about the link to on the existing two-way cycle track that is on the other side of Alfieburn Road. The proposal would be to leave that there, because at the moment what it does is it serves as a link to Fairview Park. So if you're coming in from along the Alfieburn Road, you can cross the road and then actually use the facility to link it to Fairview Park. And likewise, you can go the other direction as well. So we wouldn't see any reason to remove that, and we would contain it. I think that's all I have at the moment on that.
Thanks, Alec. So Niall, you're up first.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Alec, I have a lot of concerns about this, and I wouldn't be supporting it in any event, because I just see this headlong rush to do away with car lanes as being detrimental not only to car drivers but actually to the environment, because more cars would be snarled up right out. We have the debacle in Fairview, and now we have this. And I'm just wondering, Alec, and one of the reasons I would be opposing this is the two pinch points there, Church Road, the junction of Church Road, the junction of East Road, which would now be one lane, and coming down towards Church Road, you have cars who want to turn onto Church Road and bikes, and you have pedestrians, cars and bikes that want to turn into the Aldi or Lidl, as like Councillor Horner said, I don't know which it is on the left there. And the same on Church Road. And I'm just wondering, has anybody looked at the land to the north of Eastwall Road? Like literally from the John McCormick Bridge down to Bond Road, which would actually could be, in my opinion, a cycle lane, which would go behind to the north of Eastwall Road and get people right down to the East Road. Eastwall Road, the junction there at the port. And also, we have to remember, this is one of the main arteries into the port, and yet we want to put cyclists on it. Just for their own safety, I would be saying that doesn't make sense to me. And it certainly doesn't make sense. And I know we want to get cars off the road, but unfortunately, whether we like it or not, some people have to use their cars. If I have to get down to the Dublin port, I have to drive down. There's no bus service down there. I also share Councillor Mina's concern about the island bus stops. All the reports there seem to be coming out in a negative fashion towards those. So I would say, can we not go back to the drawing board? We've made a huge mistake in Fairview by not using the park for part of the cycleway, and now we have land to the north of Eastwall Road, which I think we should look at using. It would be quite, in my opinion, knowing the area, it could be quite simple to put a cycle lane, two-way cycle lane in there, and protect everybody, including motorists, cyclists, and particularly pedestrians, because as we know, a lot of cyclists and pedestrians. There's a lot of conflict between the two. So I'll leave it at that, but I will be opposing this. I can't support for my good thing.
Thanks, Niall. Christy, Chair of Transport SPC.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Alex, for the presentation. And they're pretty constructive proposals there in Councillor Ring. And as Chair of the Transport SPC, East Wall Road at any given time, as a couple of councillors on this post would know, from down the years, from protests from the local residents on the main East Wall Road, with the heavy goods vehicles going down. I know there's a different route now, but look, it's mayhem there in the mornings. I also want to make the point that if you're turning right into Church or into East Road, there's one lane now, so you're going to have a backup. And I fully agree, there's land there at the side from Alfie-Bourne Road right down past the ESB pole yard, past the school, down to Bond Road, as Councillor Reen said, would make very secure and safe passageway for cyclists, because the whole road and pathway must be equally safe and secure to people with disabilities, pedestrians, road and path users, cyclists, and as Councillor Reen said, some people have to use cars. Like, you know, my partner goes out this morning in Whitehall to get over to Navan Road. If she was to take the buses, she'd be leaving at 5:30 to get there for 8 o'clock. It's virtually impossible. So, you know, we have to live with cars whether we like it or don't like it. But could I also ask, and I think Joe touched on it, the school zone will be a great idea and maybe pushing that. But the school quite recently have asked in relation to flashing lights to let drivers and road and path users know that they're coming up to a school, because you have mothers and fathers walking that route there in the morning time, and they feel it can be a death trap between Church Road and onto East Wall Road. So flashing lights of some type of signalling that they're approaching a school wouldn't go amiss, Alec, and it wouldn't cost an arm and a leg. Church Road, I agree with the points that's being made, or sorry, East Road has been mayhem for many, many years, between parking, between two-way traffic, between heavy goods vehicles, between container traffic, and then pedestrians trying to walk along. They have to go out onto the roadway, especially at the centre and at the bus stop. And you have a high residential areas there from Clewit and from other private properties, and indeed our own properties right along that. But that has been a heartbreak for many, many years, is East Road. Like, it's an industrial, virtually it's an industrial estate. That's what it is, because the heavy goods vehicles come morning, noon and night, and you have development going on, you have pedestrians, you have school going children in the morning, so it's mayhem. So I certainly would and will continue to put that as a priority. But look, as it is, I would like to see an effort being made in relation to the alternative route from Alfie-Bourne right down to Bond, in order to keep it safe for cyclists in relation to that development. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Christy. Janice?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Yeah, I would have similar concerns to Christy and Niall, particularly in relation to the pinch points and the way that this has the potential to cause more stalling of the traffic, causing, as far as I'm concerned, more congestion. I'd have serious concern around the island bus stops. They're not getting good feedback at all, and I'm just left wondering why we would even be considering putting them in if the feedback from them has been very negative. The issues with the heavy traffic down by East Wall is going on years, and I've concerns around this that it's obviously would make it worse, therefore making it more unsafe for pedestrians and both cyclists. And finally, I also requested the flashing lights for the school down there, because they requested them. We had residents onto us, parents of children onto us, to try to make the area more safe. Like, it is absolutely, I don't even like walking down that way or trying to cross the roads down there. The traffic is just mental, and it's all this high, heavy, you know, vehicle traffic. it's very heavy, and they're very big as well, and like it's very congested all the time. There's no times where you get a bit of a lack in it, where the traffic is a bit more easier. And how many times have we had reps from people living in East Wall, saying that they can't even get out of where they live and stuff like that because of the traffic that constantly comes through there as well, because it's used like a rat run. So I just had serious concerns around all of those issues, and I just wanted them noted. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Janice. There's a lot more in there, so I'm going to let Alec come in. Maybe just to ask colleagues to bear in mind, if you look at the last page of Alex's report, he has asked that the views are sought, and I'd ask members, what is your view in terms of whether we agree to this going out to the going up on the public consultation hub? So bear that in mind, because we'll have to discuss that before we sign off on this item. So Alec, do you want to come back on the points raised?
You're on mute, Alex.
Councillors, yeah. Firstly, I suppose Councillor Ring's points about the pinch points. I accept that there are going to be pinch points on the scheme. Certainly, we have looked at the right turn onto Church Road and the right turn onto East Wall Road, and we've had considerable discussions with our own ITS department about that and how we would manage that. It's an important route for us, the East Wall Road, as you probably know, because if the port tunnel ever goes down, all the traffic that goes through the port tunnel has to be catered for on the East Wall Road. So it's very important that whatever we propose there, we'll be able to deal with this. And as a result, the ITS department have spent considerable time thinking about that and considering how the signals would work. And they're of the view that we can make it work. And while there may be some impact on traffic, it's something that we can manage through the signalling arrangements. It should be noted that it is a tidal arrangement on East Wall Road, whereby in the morning time you have traffic going into the city, and in the evening time you have traffic coming out of the city, and so that makes it easier to manage the actual turning movements across the traffic. Regarding the land, to be honest with you, I'm not familiar with the land you're talking about, but it obviously it's something that this is an interim proposal that we're looking to make use of, the space that the land that we have ourselves, the existing road infrastructure. But it would obviously make sense that this land would be considered as part of the larger East Coast Trail project, which is something that is it's an ongoing project. So certainly I will make my colleagues aware of who are working on that project about this potential for diverting cyclists onto this the land to the north of East Wall Road. Councillor, I think Councillor Burke's comments were very similar to Councillor Ring's, and again we sort of do take on board the concerns about the traffic, the impact it's going to have on traffic, and the signalling of the junctions. And with regarding the flashing lights in the school, yes, I think something like that could certainly be incorporated into this project. I accept that East Road is not an ideal environment as well. And certainly there will need to be some interventions on that road following this project. If we are bringing cyclists onto the East Wall Road, I think we need to look at how we can manage the East Road itself better. I do think, though, it's certainly for all its difficulties, East Road, I think it's more, I suppose, less hostile than the East Wall Road when it comes to cycling. And certainly by this scheme would allow cyclists to avoid the particularly dangerous and wide junction at where you enter into the Dublin Port Tunnel. And I think that's really what's driving this project, is to give cyclists the option of avoiding that junction, which is particularly wide and difficult for them to manage. Regarding Councillor Boylan's comments, yes, I note again the objections or concerns about the island bus stops. I'll be frank, it's not an essential element of this project to provide an island bus stop. We can look at we could look at that, I suppose. It was incorporated as something that it gives, I suppose, better facilities for cyclists in the sense that it allows cyclists, it minimises the interaction as between buses and cyclists. However, if going the other way, what it does do obviously is there is interaction between cyclists and pedestrians, which needs to be managed. I think that's all I have at the moment on this one.
Thanks, Alec. do you know what? I'm going to let Kieran in first because Declan, you've already had a contribution.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, Kieran.
Thanks, Chair. I'll be really brief. Alec, thanks for the presentation. Alec, you've just sort of addressed what I intend to raise again in relation to the island bus stops. It's something that's consistently raised at all any meeting to do where that's proposed by the PPN disability activists, and I think it's something that we really need to address. We need absolute buy-in from the disability activists and sector for us to progress any of the cycling infrastructure. In general, I'm fully supportive of the cycling infrastructure, but I wouldn't like to see the genuine concerns of disabled people being dismissed. So I appreciate what you're saying in relation to this particular project, and I note that Janet and yourself has says that this has been looked at departmental level, but I think it's something that we actually need to get to the end of, because as I've said, we need buy-in from the disability sector if we're to progress the cycling infrastructure. Good morning.
Thanks, Kieran. Declan.
Okay, thanks, Chair, and I'd like to thank colleagues for their support on the issue of the island bus stops. I support sustainable transport. The most sustainable form of transport is a bus, which can take up to 80 cars off the road. And, you know, I've just engineered a solution here myself to this issue, which is that bikes wait for the bus to pass. And I mean, I don't like waiting to cross a road. I really don't. I would rather not have to wait on cars or other things. But, you know, people have to wait sometimes. And I think asking a cyclist to wait behind a bus, which has 80 people who otherwise would be using cars or maybe taxis in some cases, I think that's a reasonable trade-off. I think there is very little faith. I mean, is a guard going to stand there and enforce a bike traffic light? Can anyone in this committee tell me that a guard is going to stand there with a checkpoint enforcing it? The disability community does not have faith in this. So I am actually going to vote for this proposal today to go forward, and I am happy with most of it, but I can't vote for the Part 8 if it gets to that point, if there is island bus stops and, you know, the Toucan crossing. I'm talking about English research, which shows that where there is shared spaces, where vulnerable people feel unsafe and feel like that they can't, you know, that they're going to be at risk, they don't go out. So this infrastructure could have a serious impact of isolating. Guide dogs in the UK have opposed Transport for London's island bus stops because they feel they're unsafe. So that's what I'm campaigning for, and I would like to see solutions, but I think there would be very little faith in a signalized crossing for, you know, for just a cycle lane. I think the best option is to ask cyclists to wait behind a very sustainable piece of transport infrastructure, which is the humble bus. Thank you.
Thanks, Declan. Emer, I didn't realise you had your hand raised. Apologies.
That's okay, Chair. No problem. Thank you for that presentation. And like all my colleagues have said, most of what I wanted to say also. But with regards to the bus islands, you know, I've seen it myself. They really are. They're dangerous for people. And everybody, all of our society should be at this table. Disabled people from all spectrums should be around the table talking about this as to what they've encountered, the dangerous situations that they've encountered that can bring solutions for all of us towards this. Thank you.
Thanks, Emer. I don't think there's anyone else with a hand raised there. Anyone else wants to come in? No? Oh, Janice, you have your hand raised there briefly.
Yeah, it's just to say fair play to Declan. You know, I know he has obviously personal reasons himself, but he is an absolute brilliant advocate for people with disabilities, and just to say fair play to him, because he absolutely does come up with very good solutions and good suggestions as well. So he's just a credit to have on the central area when it comes to things like this. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Thanks, Janice.
Thanks, Janice, and I echo those comments. Alec, for what it's worth, I'm slightly torn on this actually, because I do believe there's a desperate need for improved cycling, protected cycling lane along East Wall Road. However, I'm concerned that the interactions with the junctions with Church Road and East Road may actually may have the law of unintended consequences, and I actually could make things more dangerous than they actually are at present. I think we need to look at that again. But I'm also equally concerned that how this may impact not necessarily those junctions, but I'm thinking of the likes of Forth Road and Bargy Road. So, like, if we're reducing down the lanes and we then have more traffic, we're actually then resulting in further build-up of traffic on the side roads as well. And like what we're trying to do with the neighbourhood traffic, East Wall neighbourhood traffic scheme, is to mitigate against the build-up of traffic on the narrow roads and the residential roads in East Wall. And my fear is that, again, the law of unintended consequences, that we may actually increasing the problems of traffic management then in East Wall. So like I am concerned about that, and I'm equally concerned that we are sort of ending at East Road. I think East Wall Road is bad enough. I think East Wall, unlike yourself, I think East Wall Road from a pedestrian point of view and from a cyclist point of view is literally a death trap. And like I would like to see a program or a proposal that included East Road as part of all of this, to be honest, as opposed to simply just dealing with East Wall Road. And I know there is a statutory or a sort of a more detailed plan for the East Coast Trail coming. So in terms of where we go from here, I would be interested, I would be in support of letting this go up on public for the consultation hub, because I think it would be useful for East Wallers and everyone else, frankly, to have their say. And that I'd like then for the report arising from that consultation to come back to the area committee, because I think it'll actually help feed in and address the local concerns. Will have an opportunity to be fed in, but also I think it'll help us in terms of the work we'll have to do with regards to East Wall neighbourhood traffic scheme as well, because your colleagues in other parts of the transportation section are looking for our feedback there. And my real worry is that if we do things on a piecemeal basis, the law of unintended consequences are going to come back and bite us in the proverbial. And I don't want to be creating more problems where they don't need to be created. So like I think the concerns I have, the concerns the colleagues have raised, that we should still let this go up on the public consultation hub. Can you tell us what the time frame would be, how long that would go up for, and then when can we expect it to come back to the area committee? And will you clarify, there's a number of comments we raised regarding a Part 8. I don't believe a Part 8 is required for this because it is an interim measure. So you might just clarify that at the start of your contribution. Thanks a million, Alec.
Okay, councillors. I suppose Councillor Perry, Councillor Mina and Councillor McCormick, I think pretty much they've all made it clear that the island bus stop is something there's a large concern to them. So obviously I'm going to bring that back as the main takeaway from this meeting. I think that this is something of serious concern and we'll have to have a look at that again. Regarding Councillor McAdams, just notes points there. the knock-on effects on the side roads, I'll be honest, I don't think it's really have been thought about too much. Whether I think as I said before, I think we're fairly confident that we can manage the traffic on East Wall Road. I think the impact on the side roads would be of minimal nature, but it's like that would be the position at the moment, I think, on that one. And obviously, I know you say, did you like to see proposals developed for the East Road, and that would be something that would follow on from this. If this scheme was going ahead, we would be looking at East Road next. As far as reporting the consultation, I would say the plan would be that we would put the subject to the council's approval, we'd put the drawings and proposals up on the consultation hub. At this stage, it's coming up to Christmas, so I would say we'd probably keep it open till the end of January, the consultation hub, and then we would possibly come back to the area committee sometime in February with a report on the consultation and go for there. How long? The other question then was regarding the planning. It's certainly our view that we would be able to do this work under our own powers. We have done an initial planning screening of it, and it certainly doesn't require an AA or an EIA or anything like that. So with no need to go to the board, and it's certainly it's something we feel we can do under our own powers. So I think that's all I have to say on that.
Thanks, Alec. Does that mean that a Part 8 isn't necessary?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that, Alec.
Ray, could I ask a technical question?
Please do, Declan.
Is this the last opportunity we have to vote on this, or will we get to vote on it after the consultation?
Well, as I said, I was just going to come on to that.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
The time frame that I agree. I would happy to let. Well, if this goes on to the consultation hub, I'd sooner it goes on sooner rather than later. I'm happy enough with the end of January time frame, as long as then we have a report to come back to the in February. Are members agreeable to that? And because then the determination in February will then decide whether works proceed or not.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Agreed. Chair.
Chair, would you just put my disagreement to that? You suggested an alternative and it's just being ignored. So I'm not supporting this going forward. I just want that on record. Thank you.
So now just to be clear, you don't want it going on the consultation hub as it is.
Correct, because I think we should be looking, is there a viable alternative, and we've just ignored that. And in fairness, Alex, he said he's not familiar with that land to the north of East Wall Road.
Councillor, so, I did to be fair now, I didn't say I'd ignored. I said what I would do is this was a scheme that we were looking to do an interim proposal that was on the existing road that we have control of. I'm not aware of the land that you're talking about, but what I did say was I would pass that information on to the project team that were looking at the longer term East Coast Trail, which obviously they could look at this in detail. So I don't feel it. I haven't ignored it.
No, okay, I'll withdraw the fact that I say ignored, but we're not taking it into account at this stage, and I would like to be
not at this stage, not as part of an interim scheme. Yes, that's correct.
Chair, just on a point of order or point of information, could the planner could Alex put it up on the public consultations site that an alternative route has been proposed and outlining the alternative route? I
don't have the details of an alternative route, Councillor Burke, at this stage, so I couldn't do that in any timely manner.
Okay.
You know, that is this case. I just don't have details. I can't start. What I can put up is what I know what we're proposing at the moment as an interim proposal, as what this land is and how it would work and how we could access it and where it would lead, that would take a considerable amount of time to investigate that, and that's why I'm saying that I couldn't possibly get that up on the hub in any timely manner at the moment.
But you'll bring back a report on that to the February meeting. So will you do that?
I can bring back a report on the consultation. Exactly, yes.
So basically,
colleagues, Chair.
So what
Chair,
happened
the
then?
planner said he would discuss it with the team. So can he come back in February with what the team's outcome is prior to the discussion?
Regarding the land
Regarding
take,
the alternative route.
I can do that. Yes, I can include that as part of the report. Yeah.
The only reason I'm going, Chair, just again, is that purely it's gone out to public consultation. I respect Councillor Ring's point of view on it. He did propose an alternative. I support that, but I will run with the public consultation.
Thanks, Christy. Could I just, I see Janice and Janet are want to come in as well, but can I just mention one thing? It just dawned on me actually. That we have before the area committee last week, Alec, there was a proposal for the naming of a development in East Wall Road that I understand is that is going to start building on site in 2022. So that is going to, from my understanding, is that's going to require some of the footpath and the road space there to be taken in as part of the construction phase. It's just there as you turn off Alfieburn Road onto East Wall Road at the moment. How will that impact the proposals that you've drawn up? Because if they're an interim basis and you're hoping to go to tender in the first half of 2022, how will the loss of the footpath and portion of the road space for that construction, how will that impact upon the proposed interim measures? Apologies now, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I just go back through the agenda from Tuesday and I saw it here. So you might just, can you come back to me on that, come back to the committee on that?
I'll have to have a Councillor, I'll have to have a look at that. I'm not familiar with the proposal, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
go on ahead, Alec.
Can you give me the details of the development?
We get a copy of the reference number, the planning reference number, and we get that sent over to you ASAP.
Yes, I'd appreciate that. We can have a look at that. It does sound like it will obviously impact on the project. Yeah.
Well, I'll let Janice and Janet come back in, and then I'm going to make a proposal. Janice.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. That was the question I was going to pose. It just popped back into my mind before you said it. I was thinking that we only cleared that for on last week's agenda, and how would it impact on this development? So that was that. And then I had another then, you know, if it goes out to public consultation, people have the opportunity then obviously to put into the consultation process their suggestion for the alternative route as well. I know I understand where Niall Ring is coming from. It's a good proposal and it's a good alternative, but unfortunately Alec's hands are tied at the moment in relation to the time frame of that. You know, but I would say that, you know, at a public consultation phase, those questions, those alternative routes can be raised. We've done things like that before, so thanks.
Janice.
Thanks. And can I just so there's just a bit of back and forth there on what's actually coming back to us in February. So it's going out to consultation. We're going to get a report back on the results of the consultation at that stage, and also a proposal regarding what are the works that are actually going to be done. So if there's any alterations to the plans, we've seen them today, that are made on the back of the consultation, they'll be presented to us in February. Is that the case?
I think, to be honest, Janet, that's what I had in mind, but I don't want to throw a spanner in the works here. But I think the proposed development and the construction site at the junction of East Wall Road and Alfieburn Road, I think is going to have an impact on the proposals that Alec has drawn up here. And I think it would be useful. I'm just looking at the report here. I don't have a copy of the planning reference number. But if you look at the drawings that's on page on our agenda, page 30 of our agenda from last Tuesday, it does show quite considerably that all of the footpath around the corner from Alfieburn Road, just before the petrol station there, is being taken in use by the development during the construction phase. So, like, I would have thought that will have an impact. I don't know. I'm not an engineer, obviously. I don't know the scale of the impact. And given that being the case, I would nearly request that Alec and your team would look into this and come back to us before we would go out to the public consultation hub. Because if you look at it here on your agenda, if you have it, it does take up what they're proposing to DCC control land subject to a letter of consent. So we have the planning department have obviously consented to this section, and it's Alec, just for your ease of reference, the planning reference is 3091/20.
3091/20, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what's your initial thinking, Alec?
I think, Chair, what you're suggesting makes perfect sense. Excuse me, that it would seem if it's going to impact on our project, we need to consider it before we go out to consultation. There's no point going out to consultation on a scheme that we can't deliver, you know, even in a short term. Even if it means that we have to postpone implementation of it, or maybe we have to modify our drawings at this stage before we go out to consultation, I think we should have a look at it first. So on the basis of that, I would say that we will need a bit of time to have a look at it, see how it impacts on our scheme, and look to sort of, I suppose, if we need to revise our proposals, we'll need to revise them in early January and go out then.
Okay, so colleagues, the next area committee meeting is on the 11th of January. Like, I assume, given Christmas and all that, that will be too tight for you to come back to the area committee. Would you be in a position then across January to issue clarity to the area committee by form of an email report? And if it's necessary for us to convene to discuss that, colleagues, I'd suggest we do that before it goes up on the consultation hub. Does that meet with the agreement of colleagues?
Can you say that again, Ray? Just sorry.
So what I'm suggesting is that because the next area committee meeting is January the 11th, it's probably that time frame is probably too tight for Alec and his colleagues to come back with an assessment of the consequences of the development site and the impact on the interim scheme. So what I'm asking, Alec, if this is possible from you guys, if your team could come back to the area committee and circulate an email report outlining the impact of the development on the interim scheme. And if there's concerns raised, I would then happy to convene a meeting of the area committee to discuss those before the report or the options would go out on the consultation hub.
So we're only meeting if there are issues raised?
Yes.
Chairman,
that's the proposal. Go on, Joe.
Yeah, in relation to that portion of land on Athleyburn Road and East Wall Road, that belongs to Dublin City Council at the present time, and it requires the consent of Dublin City Council for the developer to use it.
Yeah.
So really, we'd want the decision by Dublin City Council as to whether or not the developer is going to use that entrance to its property before it can go out to consultation, because that would be a major part of the plans that are before us today.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've said. So if you look at page 30 of the agenda, Joe, it marks off all of the sites that they're proposing to use.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
but that would be something that would have to be determined before it could go out to public consultation, because that could totally jettison the proposal.
That's precisely why I raised it. So I'm hoping, Alec, just the time frame that I've said there in terms of you coming back, your team coming back in sort of mid-January, and by means of an email report to the area committee. And if there are concerns arising from that report, I would then happily convene a meeting of the area committee to discuss it before it goes out on the consultation hub, because I think, given the level of concern that has been raised so far, leaving aside the development impact, I think the area committee would like to have a further discussion before it goes live on the consultation hub. Is that agreed? The point I'm making there, is that agreed with my colleagues?
Yeah.
That's clear. That's clear.
Yeah.
That's good.
How does that work for you, Alec?
That's fine, Chair. Yes, I can work with that. Yeah.
Okay, so on that basis, this item is noted. pending a further email report from Alec and his team in mid-January. And arising from that report, there may be need for an area committee meeting other beyond the 11th of January meeting. Okay?
No,
So we've agreed. Just for that extra bit of clarity, we're agreed it is going to consultation if there is no issues raised.
Agreed.
Great.
With the noted objection of Councillor Ring and Santa Claus Jumper. That agreed?
Agreed.
Perfect. Now,